in the world of fabric art, textile embellishment, texture is key. So we're going to use the Baby Lock Altair to take an old technique, the yo-yo, and we're going to make it thoroughly modern. You'll be amazed what you can do with a simple circle. I'm Cathy, and this is Sewing Tech Talk. So there's a giveaway for this video. So you could win this cool pack of embroidery thread. All you have to do is like, share, or comment, and every time you do, you're entered for a chance to win a great pack of thread. Why don't you subscribe while you're there? So like, share, or comment, and you could win. Okay, so now I'm making this cool little pillow kind of thing, and I'm adding some texture with some yo-yos. Yeah, I know. Yo-yos are old. Here's my from my collection of old quilts. Here's a yo-yo quilt. Yo-yos are vintage, right? But we can make them modern, and we can use these for some textile art. So I stitched on my pillow, I stitched happy. I wanted it to be a tone on tone. Now I know you couldn't see it, so I stitched it again because you can never have too much happy, right? So I stitched it again because I wanted to show you something about how that's stitched out. Something that was kind of important. Now, this that I'm stitching on is a rug that I got at one of those home stores. It was in the clearance section, and I knew I could stitch on it. So I cut it in half, but it's too thick to really hoop effectively. So I used a Floriani Perfect Stick pressure sensitive stabilizer because this is for items that are really kind of hard to hoop. Now, other items are hard to hoop, so I redid my happy on something that was traditionally not easy to hoop, and that's a taffeta moire. So I stitched it on the taffeta moire, and this is, you would think, why is this hard to hoop? Well, this is the type of fabric that would get what we call hoop burn. And what hoop burn is if you hoop this fabric, it's kind of a delicate little fabric, and what would happen is wherever it was hooped, it would like get a permanent crease. It would distort the fibers. So what I did is I put some interfacing on the back to help stabilize the fabric. Now, interfacing is not stabilizer, but the pressure sensitive stabilizer works great because all you do is you stick it in there and it's ready to hoop. Now, the other thing that's really cool about pressure sensitive stabilizer is you can patch it. So what you do is I stitch this happy, I tore it out of the stabilizer, and I cut a smaller piece to fit within the hoop. And that way you don't have to have another giant piece. It kind of makes it an effective use to kind of spread your stabilizer out so that you're not using a big chunk all the time. It makes your roll go so much farther. Now, let me show you how I did my happy, because this is an absolutely beautiful font. This is built into the Baby Lock Altair, and this, I hope you agree, is absolutely gorgeous. This happy makes me very, very happy. It's gorgeous on this delicate fabric. So let me show you how I got that in the machine. It's one of the built-in fonts. Now, this machine has multiple places that you can get some fonts. There's tons of fonts that are built in that you put in kind of like you're typing in on the screen. These very large fonts, however, come in as individual letters, and so because they're so big. So I brought in my HAP. Let me show you how I bring in my other letters, and you can see some of the other gorgeous parts of this font. Now, I brought in this. Now, I need another P and a Y to create my happy. So if I touch the P, that selects it. I don't need to go in and get it because I just duplicate it. So on the screen, I just touch this little square right there. That gives me a second P, and I just touch it and I pull it on down. I've brought my 1-inch grid up on my screen to help me adjust everything where I need it to be. But let's add that Y before we get everything set. I'm going to touch Add. These big, beautiful fonts are right under there. This is the one that I'm using. I'm going to go and find the Y. Look at all these cool little flourishes that you can use too. Punctuation, it's really, really cool. There's numbers. There is my Y right there. So I'm going to hit set. Now it comes in and I'm going to turn it 90 degrees. Everything's easy to edit in this machine. I touch edit, rotate. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Now I can touch it and bring it down, or I can use these keys down here to bring it down. Notice how on this font it has these little extenders, so it looks like it's handwritten. It's really a beautiful font. So I'm going to touch this P. I'm going to move it up just a little bit. I can use these keys to make sure everything's perfect, and down a little bit. Going to touch my Y, bring it down. Bring it down. Pretty cool. I'm using this line on the bottom to help everything line up. Now, if I'm happy with my happy and everything is the way I want it, that's great. But if I want to move my appy in relationship to my H, there's another cool feature on this machine. I can group letters and move them as a whole instead of individuals. So I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to touch this key down here, which lets me group letters together. All I have to do is touch my A, P, P, Y. Now they're grouped. Now when I move them, they move as a whole. So editing on this machine, pretty fast, easy, and simple. I like that. All I have to do is go ahead and stitch it. Now, one thing I did on this pressure-sensitive stabilizer is I did add a basting stitch around the outside just to make sure everything was secure. So to do that, I touch embroidery and I just touch layout, and this little key right there, that automatically adds a basting stitch around my happy. So it's really fast, easy, and simple. So I stitched on my happy. I'm really good. I added some yo-yos to add really some cool interest. It's actually the focus of this pillow. So let me show you how it is simple to put a yo-yo really permanently and perfectly on your fabric. We're going to use IQ Designer. Now, when IQ Designer came out, I was super excited. I shouted it from the rooftops. You can now, in the machine, create a simple design to do whatever you want. The creativity is amazing. So I wanted to stitch down a yo-yo on my fabric. Now here's my yo-yo. I just made this one in the air, right? You can make them the old-fashioned way. You can take a piece of a lid of a container, draw a circle, turn down the edge, use a hand needle to stitch around there, big old stitches, draw it in. That's basically how you can create a yo-yo. Back in the day, they created something out of almost nothing. But today, what we have is you can get, I really love these, it's a clover yo-yo maker. And what it is, you snap everything together, you use this to cut around, and it's like, like little kids sew on a card. It's basically how you do it, and it creates the perfect yo-yo so that when you're done, oh my goodness, all you do is snap it out and everything's ready to go. So you do have to hand prepare these little yo-yo pieces before you stitch them down on the machine. It's something I like to do when I'm watching TV, watching a movie. It's really just fun, pleasant, fun handwork. Yeah, I know I said handwork. Don't be scared. Why don't you like handwork? Oh, it's threading the needle, right? Those needle eyes are so small. Well, there's a needle threader that's pretty cool. And all you do is you put your needle in the slot, push the lever, and your hand needle is automatically threaded. It's almost as nice as the needle threader on the machine. So don't let that stop you. So now, I prepared all my pieces. Let's sew them down on my cool pillow. Now, I'm ready to go. All I have to do is decide where I want it to go. And I'm going to use that same pressure-sensitive stabilizer to hold this fabric that's really hard to hoop. How does that work? Well, I kind of mocked it up here so that you can see. You hoop the stabilizer in the hoop, and what you do is you score around the outside edge of it, and then you pull that part away and expose the sticky. Notice, I've already used this hoop to already stitch out one of the yo-yos before. Now, I can patch it, but quite honestly, this design is so light, I really can just use it the way it is and it's going to be okay because I really don't need that much stabilizer for such a light design. Speaking of the design, let's create a simple circle in IQ Designer that's going to hold down my yo-yo. We're going to go home. Okay, now we're going to go to IQ Designer, and we're going to pull up a simple circle shape to stitch down our yo-yo. You're going to see this is going to be pretty cool. I'm going to go shapes. I'm going to pick a simple circle. Now notice a couple of these other shapes while I'm here. I want you to put those in your memory banks. Look at that one. Look at the oval, because those could be yo-yos also. Just saying. So I have my circle. I touch OK. Now I know it's too big. The circle I created, the yo-yo I created, needs a 1 3/4 inch circle. So I'm going to touch size, and I'm going to touch the squish it all around key to make my circle down to 1 3/4 inches. Just a little bit more. Oops, it went too far. I always go a little bit too far. There we go. 1 3/4 inches. Okay. Now, I want this to stitch in a single run. So I'm going to touch my line properties. I'm going to touch that, which is the indicator for the double run. I'm going to touch red, just because I want to see what it looks like when I'm stitching it out in red. I'm going to say OK. Now, I want this artwork to be that double stitching run. I touch the paint bucket. I touch the circle. Good to go. Next. Now, there's my circle. I don't have to change a thing. Everything's ready to go. Preview. Okay. And that's as quick and fast as easy it is to create an embroidery just using the machine. You don't have to get software out at all. Set. Okay. There it is. It's ready to go. It's an embroidery now. Now, I'm going to stitch this yo-yo down using that little circle. I'm going to put my hoop on the machine, and I'm going to decide basically where I want my circle to be. I want it to be, let's just put it right around in here. It's all okay on this design. So I'm going to pull it on through, put it in there, and I have it right kind of in the center of that hoop. Now, you can place it perfectly, but for this project, I don't have to. But what I do have to place perfectly is I have to have the center of that yo-yo that I prepared. I'm going to pop it out of its little yo-yo maker. Here's my yo-yo that I need to stitch down. And what I need to do is I need to find the center of this, because the center of this needs to be in the center of that circle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to literally fold it in quarters just to find the center. And I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to make a little mark right at the tip. Doesn't have to be big, I just have to be able to see it. And I can actually use a permanent marker if I want to, because no one's going to see it. Now, Baby Lock Altair has a great, fantastic system for positioning embroidery. It's called IQ Positioning. And you use your phone and you can position a design just perfectly, exactly where you want it to be. But it also has other ways that are really simple to position your design. On this machine, it has what's called a W+ foot. And on the machine, when I go to embroidery, right up here, I see an icon that shows that with a little red dot in the middle. When I touch that, what's going to happen? It's going to shine a light down wherever that little green X is on the machine. And that shows me exactly where the center of my circle is. I made a dot. I put the dot where the light is. It's as simple as that. Now my yo-yo is perfectly positioned, and it took me seconds to do it. I could actually move that light to all the different parts of the design if I wanted to, but all I need is the center. Now, here's the fun trick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little stick, and I'm going to use this to help me stitch down and make sure everything lies flat as I go. When I'm stitching, you can see that I have all this kind of stuff up and it's kind of in the way. I want to make sure I don't catch that when I'm sewing. So if I start sewing, I want everything to stay nice and flat. I'm going to use this technique. I'm going to lower the presser foot. Green means go. But when I press the start button and hold it down, the machine's going to stitch very slowly. And it's so cool because I can make sure everything is right where I want it to be and the machine's not going 1,000 miles an hour. Watch. Here's my little stick because you don't want to use your fingers right where that's going to be. I can use that to make sure everything's lying exactly where I want it. Notice how that stabilizer is holding this hard to hoop rug exactly where I want it to be. It's going nice and slow. If I was to lift my finger off, it would go faster. And I'm going to do that as soon as I'm sure that everything is where I want it to be. I can take my stick, not my finger, and hold everything exactly down where I want it. We're going to get it about 3/4 of the way around, and we're going to put the spurs to it. Everything looks good. You think we're ready to go? Let's go. Everything's perfect. It's going to stitch around it twice because that's what that double line of stitching means. And as soon as I get it done, all I have to do is pull that string that I the thread that I hand sewed in, and it's going to create the world's most perfect yo-yo. Check it out. It's kind of magic. Finish sewing. I'm going to slide my hoop back so that you can see it. Now, check it out. I'm going to take that thread. Here it is. All I have to do is pull it and tuck that little tab in. World's most perfect yo-yo. I'm going to take this little needle and thread. I'm going to finish sewing it down. And all I can do is just put more yo-yos on my little project here. Now, I hope you can see the potential in this. This is not making an old-fashioned yo-yo. These are so fast and easy. Put them on scarves. You can put them around a t-shirt. You can put them on a quilt. There's so many things to do. In fact, at the beginning of the video, I showed you that whole row of them. This machine has a way that I can take a simple design and repeat it so it's perfectly placed. So I'm going to put this away. We're going to get that other fabric, and I'm going to show you how we can use this machine to duplicate an embroidery to get it perfect, and we're going to create some amazing texture using an old-fashioned idea for some modern fabric art. You're going to love it. So putting them on one at a time is really easy, but the Baby Lock Altair has a function where I can take any embroidery design, even the little circle I made in IQ Designer for my yo-yos, and you can repeat it nice and evenly. It's really a cool function. So at the very beginning of the video, I showed you that, where I had them nice and evenly spaced out. It makes a really fun embroidery. It really looks good to have them nice and evenly spaced. What great texture. So I'm going to put another one on. It's really simple. The one thing you want to keep in mind when you're doing a whole row of them is, when you finish the one, you're going to go on to the next one, of course, but the machine's going to automatically want to go on and stitch that next one. So you simply press the start-stop button when the machine finishes one, cuts the thread, and goes to the next. I'm going to draw up the previous one that I did. Now I'm going to need to secure it. I don't want to take out the hoop every time, so I'm going to do quite a few, then I'm going to secure them down. Just a few stitches with that hand sewing needle. So I'm ready for the next one. All I have to do, I've placed it. I hit the start-stop button. Now I can hold it down like I did before, but these little black yo-yos have been really cooperating. Even if they're cooperating, have your little handy stick nearby, because you don't want to get your fingers in there, because that's not fun embroidery. Almost done. See how fast it goes? I think these are maybe less than a minute each. Now when it's finished, it's going to go on to the next circle. It's going to cut the thread, but I'm going to hit the stop button. So now what it would do is it would just, I'd draw this one up, place the next one, and I'd be ready to go. But I really want to show you how I got that repeated circle. So let's do that. So this is in the memory. I can always come back and finish it later. Let's go back into IQ Designer. No, we don't. We already put that into memory. Let's go back. Let's take that away. And let's put up that one circle that we remembered. In embroidery, I'm going to go to the memory of the machine, and I think it is this one. Let's check and see. Oh, that's a bigger one. I think I want that one. The 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. See how the machine shows you everything that you need to know about this embroidery before you make a commitment to it. So I'm going to hit set. Now there's my single circle on the screen of the machine. I want to repeat these to fill up the whole screen with my little yo-yos. So all I do is I come up to the edit function, and there's this little icon right above that color chip. I'm going to touch that, and that gives me the option to repeat any embroidery that I want to get a really nice filled embroidery field with whatever embroidery I want. And I can space it out evenly. So if I touch this icon, I can go from side to side. I want to add 2 on the right, 2 on the left, and I want to spread those out. So this icon here with the little arrow in the middle spreads everything out. I can always touch that button down there to center everything if I want. That's good. Now, I want to repeat them up and down. So when I touch this icon, I can repeat more on the top, more on the bottom. And you see how fast and easy that is? I want to spread these out too. So it's the same button, it just spreads them out that way. So you can see how quick, fast, and easy it is to fill a screen. This would be a great quilting design if I wasn't even using it for yo-yos. So that's how simple it is. Now don't forget, on your handout, I have the instructions for creating the circle that works for the yo-yos in IQ Designer. And you can create them any size you want. Just follow the instructions. Here's what I did. And I did a whole bunch of different size yo-yos on my little pillow top. I have all kinds of ideas. I have so many projects I have to make now because every time I do something, I get an idea for doing more. On this one, I made the circle a little bit smaller and it made it a little bit puffy. I made really teeny tiny ones. Look, those look like barnacles. I think I might have to make that under the sea quilt now. There's so much you can do with circles. I got a really spectacular thing I want to show you. Look what I did with a yo-yo. I put some petals around the outside of it, and I made a spectacular yo-yo in the middle. 4-inch hoop. Look at the size of the great project you can come out with. So make your yo-yos in regular fabric. Make them in velvet. Make them in sheer fabric. I think you'd be surprised what you can do with a circle in IQ Designer. And there's so many other shapes too. So the Baby Lock Altair, IQ Designer lets you do basically whatever you want. Your creative vision, it can be absolutely fulfilled. We've just played with a circle. What could you play with on your Altair? So I'm going to shoot it over to George. George, if they don't have an Altair, I think they might want one now because they want to play with not only circles, but a whole bunch more.
Thanks, Cathy. That was an incredible presentation. Don't forget, you can click on the link and download Cathy's lesson guide on today's presentation. But I want to take a couple moments to share with you my favorite features on the Baby Lock Altair. I believe the Altair is dollar for dollar the most advanced machine on the market. There are machines that sell for thousands of dollars more that do not offer the same features. You know, the embroidery features are incredible. The 9.5-inch by 14-inch embroidery area, you can really expand your horizon with embroidery, and there's 494 built-in designs. You also have that 10.1-inch color screen that gives you all kinds of editing capability, from color to sizing to also you can actually take designs and do automatic stippling around it. It has 30 built-in fonts and 5 jumbo monograms. Now with the fonts, you have all kinds of editing capability. You can even take and put in a name or a saying and then do an applique border and turn it into applique automatically. It also has the IQ Designer. Now, this is an app that you use your smart device like a phone or an iPad, and you can send an image, a graphic image, to the machine, and it will turn it into embroidery instantly. The embroidery is amazing, but what about the sewing and quilting? This machine has 11.25 inches of space and 5 inches of height, so you can fit even the largest quilts into this machine. It also has automatic fabric sensors that will sense the thickness of the fabric, so it will set the right pressure, and with the automatic tension it gives you perfect fabric control, from heavy denim to very sheer fabric to working with elastic or even a t-shirt collar. This machine truly controls the fabric with perfection. But also it has the digital dual feed, and what that does is that is a belt-driven walking foot system that's controlled by the motor of the machine, and you can control, even like here with this Minky, perfectly. So you have so many amazing features with this machine. But what about an amazing deal? The MSRP, the manufacturer's suggested list price of this machine, is $10,999. And it's worth that for all the amazing things that it does. We right now have it on sale for $79.99. And we're offering free shipping across the United States. Plus we have interest-free payments of $167 per month. That makes this machine very affordable. But wait, that's not all. For a limited time, and while we have it in stock, we are offering a special bonus with your Altair purchase. So first, we're going to give this beautiful set of 63 spools of polyester embroidery thread. The beautiful shine and quality of this thread is quite amazing. Also, I'm including the Baby Lock Ultimate Stabilizer Bundle. This has the most popular rolls of stabilizer, from wash away to cut away, in different colors, and this will enhance your embroidery to give you a better quality. I'm also including the Baby Lock Altair Inspirational Guide. Now, the instructions on this machine is wonderful, but what's different about the Inspirational Guide, it is written by Baby Lock educators, assuming you know nothing about the machine. So it takes you through every aspect, giving you full color. It's over 300 pages of full color description, step-by-step description. And if you complete this Inspirational Guide, you truly know everything on this machine. We're including that. Plus, we're going to include a online membership to Baby Lock's Love of Knowledge. This has hundreds of videos that give you step-by-step details on how to use the machine and also do techniques. This is invaluable, and you get a membership to this as well. You also get our famous rose gold scissors. These scissors are wonderful, both the shears and the embroidery shears. But last and not least, we put together a very exclusive design bundle by Anita Good Design. It has 17 different collections, and it comes with over 400 design files. And it's truly amazing the variety you get with this. So all this, which equals over a $1,600 value, is free with your Altair purchase for a limited time. Now, we will run out of these supplies, so this is while supplies last. So click on the link to order, or you can call us at 1-800-865-9664. You can email me at moreso@aol.com. But don't wait, this deal will surely end. But if you have any questions, again, call us at 1-800-865-9664. Bye for now.